A Delhi court has ruled that sex between a husband and wife, even if forcible, is not rape. This brings into focus once again the question of marital rape. If a man is denied sex by his wife, that becomes a ground for divorce as a cause of mental cruelty. But if a drunken man forces himself on his wife and rapes her, is just another day in an Indian marriage. Time and again, activists have demanded that laws be amended to protect survivors of marital rape. But even after the Nirbhaya assault, when laws dealing with crimes against women were made stricter, marital rape was sadly not made a criminal offence. The law offers some protection to minor victims of marital rape, but rape of a wife above 15 years of age is again not punishable. So the question is, why is rape within marriage not being recognized as so? Is patriarchy at its worst play? The political leaders who talk big do a volte-face when it comes to the actual protection of women. And what about the justice system? Doesn't one judge's word stand against another? We'll try and find the answers to all these in this 1 hour. Welcome to Gender Discourse. I'm Lottie Alaric. To carry this discussion forward, I have in the studio a distinguished panel of guests. I'm very happy that I have with me today Mrs. Shamina Shafiq, who's the member of the NCW. So thank you so much for being here today. Sitting next to her is Kusum Sharma, who's a noted advocate and will have a lot to say probably as far as the law is concerned. So welcome to the show. And I also have with me an activist. She's Kavita Krishnan, who's the secretary of IPWA. So I welcome you too. Now, Shamina, when we talk of marital rape, first of all, it's not really spoken in those many words. And it is one of the crimes, if we can say, which is the most unreported and is also tolerated a lot by women. So what does it really say about the Indian society as such?
See, it's really very unfortunate that a woman, I mean, in today's world, especially in India, if we talk about the safety of women, we talk about crime against women. But when it comes to the four walls of the house that has to supposedly protect or give her a very protective and caring environment, and then when we talk about violence which is happening within those four walls, unfortunately, there are certain aspects which are not even considered to be violence or crime, and that is the most unfortunate part. And if a woman seldom gets up and speaks of it and says that this is what is happening and I don't take it, unfortunately there are no laws to protect her. So this is the irony, and the women of this country have to deal with it day and night. So that is the really sad part of it. So this is it basically.
That's right. So Kusum, do you think that because still there's a lot of shame attached to things like these, that is why so many women don't really come up and voice their concerns, and so it is just brushed under the carpet many a times?
It's do happening today because rape cases are spiraling like anything. They are galloping like a fast pace, and day after the day, though we have a stringent laws, still the cases are not being solved. Now, marital rape, from the name itself, it denotes that it destroys the marriage.
Correct.
Because it's such a heinous crime, such a heinous act of a husband on female, on a woman, married women, that he with this act destroys the trust. It's not only he destroys the body of the female, it also destroys the trust on whom the women has really trusted. So nowadays it is a pious obligation, not in our society I would say, it's a pious obligation of a woman, of a married woman, to follow the instructions of the husband. Nothing wrong in it.
True.
But at the same time, it should be the pious obligation of the husband also, that he should give respect to the wife, and he should not consider him as a mere body. He should give respect, honor, so that she can live with dignity, and rather he should not destroy her faith, her trust, by doing this heinous act.
True. So Kavita, I'm sure you'll agree with what she said, because this kind of a crime is something that the women keep suffering in silence, and also in a large part of the society, when a marriage takes place, a man thinks that he starts to own this woman's body.
No, this is not just about women suffering in silence. If women don't want to suffer in silence, where are they supposed to go? Our law, last year when the amendments happened in the law, the women's groups had unitedly said, the Justice Verma committee had recommended that the exemption to marital rape which exists in our rape law should be removed. Our rape law shamefully has an exemption. It says no wife can accuse a husband of rape. There is a specific exemption clause in that. Now, we had wanted that removed, but the lawmakers continued to say that no, this will, that instead of rape destroying marriage, as Kusum said, the lawmakers said that recognizing marital rape will destroy marriage.
Correct.
And so we should. Now, I'm talking about this judgment, the Ghaziabad judgment, the Ghaziabad instance judgment, the Delhi trial court judgment. In fact, I would say that the very insensitive words used by the judge are in fact good, because he is actually underlining the insensitivity which is not just there in a particular judge's mind, but which is there in the law, because he is forced to recognize that forced sex has happened, and he is saying it is forced, but it is not rape because this is a married woman, because this is between husband and wife. This is what our law is saying today. It is not just someone, sexist judge who is saying this. The judge is thinking clearly. He could have said, he could have said something about the law. He could have said, well, this is the law. I'm forced because of the. But he didn't say that.
Yes.
So of course his own thinking is also reflected there. But the point is that our law needs to change here. Let me also tell you that there have been other recent instances. One instance in which a woman has killed her husband after being repeatedly raped by him, including the last time he was raped. She was raped in front of her son by the husband. So she has confessed to the killing, saying that I had nowhere to go, nothing to do, and I did this. What kind of marriage are we protecting them?
Correct.
If we are actually protecting a situation where a woman is left in this situation. There is another case which is still ongoing. I think the trial is still ongoing, in which a woman has, her complaint of rape against her husband has been admitted, but not under the rape law, under the section 377, because she has alleged sodomy.
Right.
Okay, or what my point is, my point is that our whole rape law is flawed, because we are not recognizing that any act of force should be called rape, and any consensual act should not be rape. So the point is, you are criminalizing consensual acts between young people the ages of 16, 17. Okay, we've done that by raising the age of consent.
Yes.
You are saying that consensual acts between homosexuals will be considered criminal. Okay, but a wife having, a wife can accuse her husband of rape only if he has committed forced anal sex with her. But if he has forced sex of any other kind with her, she cannot complain of rape. What are we saying? This is a very extremely problematic state of affairs that badly needs to change.
Correct. So Shamina, if you have that kind of ambiguity in law, and on top of that, as we discussed, that women are not really going to come up and complain about it. So even if they do, then how do they get this redressed? I think that's one big question mark.
Well, unfortunately, as Kavita rightly said, there is no forum as such for the redressal, because even, we have instances wherein women walk into NCW, and I would like to quote here a case wherein a boy, actually a 16-year-old boy, brought his mother, and he said, my mom has been going through this for so many years, and I've been watching this domestic violence. He did not know, of course, that what was happening behind the walls. But then when I spoke to the mother, she said that it has been almost 22 years of a marriage, and she has been subjected to marital rape, which she cannot. And the husband was so cool when I did counseling. He was so cool about it. So what? She's married to me. This is what she's meant for. And this is the kind of mentality that the men actually have. So when you don't have as such any platform to go and complain about it, where do the women go? And one more anarchical situation is that here is a class of women or certain women who sometimes get up and say this is wrong, but unfortunately there are hundreds and hundreds of women who are failing to even acknowledge that this is a crime which is happening to them. And it is so pathetic that a woman who is married, it is as simple as saying that if you are unmarried, you have a right to your body. If somebody tries to sexually assault you or rape you, it is a crime. But if you are married, then you don't have any right to your body. This is pathetic. That means a woman, if she's married, she has no right on her own body. I mean, we are talking about the 21st century. We are talking about,
absolutely.
I mean, equal rights to women and men.
True,
and
true.
a man has a right over his body, but a woman does not if she is married. And we try to say that we are trying to save the fabric of the family, of the society, of the Indian society. But Indian society never, I mean, it's never such with such degrading values where you say that a woman has to go through a trauma just because she is a woman. This is something which has to be actually addressed. And unfortunately, Justice Verma committee that she's talking about, even National Commission for Women had deposed, and we have been asking for this time and again.
Many women's groups are up in arms because of that.
But no, I mean,
no redress.
There doesn't seem to be any redress.
So Kusum, I would want your opinion here as to how, suppose if there is a woman, say, who's watching and who is suffering this kind of a situation at home and does not have a voice really and would actually want to go and complain. So what is that first step that a woman like that must take?
It is just like as any other case, because first of all she has to collect that courage, because she has to fight for her rights, nobody else. And women, whether she is educated, uneducated, married or unmarried, the consequences of the rape are the same. Victims suffers the same consequences as any other women. So it's a need of the hour that the women should come up, they should fight for the right, and they should complain what had happened to them, whatever may be the decision of the court or whatever may be. But first step should be that they should come forward and should complain in the nearest police station. Then the case is registered and then trial. And now the judges and the even legal system is working a lot on this issues, because day by day this heinous acts are growing day by day.
True.
And stringent laws have been made. And even very strict judgments have been passed, irrespective of the fact of few judgments, I would say. But the society is quite conscious about this. The only thing is that women has to fight for his right. This is the only, I mean, slogan and only suggestion I would like to give to each and every woman of our country, that she should come forward and should fight whatever inadequate
but the kind of position that women really have in our country, Kavita, do you really think, I mean, where they are subdued, they are tortured and domestic violence is so rampant, do you really think that how many women will actually come up and really say this?
No, I think that, my point is that women, I think, very much do come and say
Correct.
it. The point is there are complaints of domestic violence, and almost inevitably, I can tell you from our experience that almost inevitably, in any case where there has been prolonged domestic violence, there has also been marital rape. Okay. In cases where there is child abuse, there is very often also marital rape. Okay, where there is abuse of a child by the parent. Usually that parent has also abused his wife. Okay, so marital rape is some sort of to use the word used by the title of a friend's book on rape trials, it is a public secret. It is a secret which we all know, but yet we will not acknowledge. Now, my point is that the onus here is not on women to come forward.
Correct.
The onus is the women's groups have been coming forward with this demand for a very long time. The point is our lawmakers have to face this, and they have to find, they have to face up to this, and they have to do away with this exemption. And let me tell you, why can't we do away with it when in neighboring Nepal, if we are going to talk about Indian culture, is Indian culture very different from Nepal culture? Nepal has done away with the marital rape exemption. I mean, Nepal has recognized marital rape. Why cannot India? And the biggest thing is that if we are acknowledging and our laws are acknowledging that domestic violence is rampant, are we saying that a man who can batter his wife or a man who can rape a child, both are crimes which we recognize, that same man cannot rape his wife?
Correct. That's true. Absolutely. I think you just said it. Well, folks, we'll have to slip into a very short break right now. But when we come back, we'll be taking this forward. But you too can be a part of this forum then. So all you'll have to do is reach us at 1800115314 or 23035420. Remember, today we are talking about the ambiguity that surrounds marital rape. Welcome back. You're watching Gender Discourse, and today we are talking about the ambiguity that surrounds marital rape. folks, you can call us if you have something to say about the issue that we are talking about today. Just pick up your phone and reach us at 1800115314 or 23035420. Now, Shamina, if we really go by the statistics here, it says that it does paint a very, very disturbing picture, if I can just say, about the condition of married women in our country. Now, according to the UNPF, more than 2/3 of married women in India between the ages of 15 to 49 have been beaten, raped or forced to provide sex. So look at the kind of number that we are really dealing with here, and on the other hand, law has no say on it.
No say.
So doesn't it really say a lot about our own society per se?
It does, it does. There are unfortunately double standards when we talk about women and their rights, actually, because we say something but we practice or something else. Because for long there has been a sort of war, I would say, because there have been women activists like Kavita and many more such groups who had been asking for this. The NCW had been asking for it, and despite all the submissions that were made, especially when we talk about the Justice Verma committee, I mean, it was not acknowledged at all. So that means when we are talking about half the population of this country, we don't even take their actually pleas seriously, because if the women of this country is asking for a law, that means you really need it. I mean, what do you want? I mean, the woman has to come out and say that this is something which is actually very wrong with us. Please help us out, at least in framing the law, because as it is, the follow-ups are pathetic. I mean, even if we have laws in place, there are a lot of hiccups. All of us know. But here in this case, we don't even have a law. I mean, so where the woman is going to go? And there are, I mean, especially, I mean, these days you come across, especially because the youngsters are quite vocal about their problems, about whatever they have to deal with. And so we get across so many young girls. After 2 months of their marriage or maybe 3 months of their marriage, they come out and they say that they've been forced into oral sex, they've been forced into unnatural sex, they don't know really what to do about it. And if because they can't even get an FIR registered, so much so. So if they have absolutely no solace. So
I'll be talking about this as to what is the status here, whether a woman can really get an FIR registered or not. Before that, we have with us Mr. J.N. Rao from Tamil Nadu. So Mr. Rao, if you're there with me, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
In our judicial system, there are only a small percentage of women judges. More women judges must be appointed to safeguard the personal rights of women. The women are no longer the members of the weaker sex. There should not be any room for ambiguity, and the personal rights of women must be safeguarded as enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much for that point of view, and I think that's a good suggestion. But that does not really mean that men don't have to be sensitive to cases like these. Well, we'll talk about this, but before that, the FIR thing I want to hear, let the public get some clearance on it. If a woman goes, she wants to complain, so can she really file an FIR or not?
Of marital rape?
For marital rape, yes.
At present, may I clear the condition, there is no such specific law or marital rape. It is rape or criminal assault or under 498 it's cruelty, but no such law is prevalent at present on marital rape.
So which means if there's no recognition of this crime, of such the heinousness of the crime we are all here talking about, then how does one really go ahead? I mean, do you really think that this the law of the land is going to change anytime soon?
It will. Because law always amendment is made according to the need of the hour. So if it is now recently after the Nirbhaya's case, a lot of amendments have been made under section 376, you must all be aware of it, and stringent laws has been made. Now the morass into which the legal system has fallen is not on the account of the legal system, it is on the account of consciousness. What stringent laws will do if the consciousness is not there? Then these stringent laws will also be a fragile myth for the society. Because let me clear one thing more. At the time of when our legal system started, at that time the situation was something else. Matrimony relationship still is considered as a sacrosanct relationship. So at that time it has never been foreseen that such heinous relationship could occur between husband and wife, which is, I mean, it's a bond, it's a solid bond of throughout the life. But now since it has the things have been changed now and it is amendment is required, then why not? Legislature will have to think it over to amend the laws.
I'll get your comment on this, but before that, we have a viewer with us. This is Shivang from Bhopal. So, Shivang, are you there with me?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Good evening, ma'am. I have to say something.
Yes, please go ahead.
There's a need for law, right? I do favor that there's a need for marital rape law. The question is to Kusum Sharma, ma'am, advocate. But see, there are quite a laws who are used against the men, right? Then coming to the question that where do we distinguish between marital rape and consensual sex? That is my question, because there are disputes in a family where a woman can use this as a tool against men. Now, my question to the ma'am is, where do we distinguish between this consensual sex between men and women and the question of marital rape?
Okay, thank you so much for that point of view. I think we must address this. His concern is about false complaints. Yes, please.
You see, this is also a fear in the mind of the legislature that litigation might rise. But is it not in other cases?
Yes.
Then why the same consent, same test is not put in the on marital rape also, like any other rape? So, with this fear, it doesn't mean that the law should not be amended. It should be amended. Why a married woman who is being forced to do such acts is not being protected by the state? It is the responsibility of the state. In a very landmark judgment in Bodhisattva Gautam's case, the Supreme Court specifically mentioned, and it really interpreted Article 21 with the leaps and bounds, that even the woman has got the right to live with honor and dignity.
True.
So dignity should be there. So for this, if amendment is required, why not? It will be made.
So Kavita, what do you have to say here? So here's a viewer who talks about the fear of false complaints, and this is the kind of attitude, also the reaction that we've also got by the political system of our country.
No, I agree with what Kusum said, which is precisely that, look, if any instance of rape has to be proved in a court of law, there is a process of establishing whether consent was there or not there. The same process will be there in a case of marital or other rape. And here, let me clarify again that what we want is an amendment in the existing rape. We don't need a new law. We need a amendment, as she said, in the rape law to remove the exemption, which says that no wife can ever accuse any husband of rape. Okay, we need that to be gone. That does not mean that every wife will actually go around accusing every husband of rape. That is ridiculous. All right. Now, my point here is also this, that this whole thing about which the Justice Verma Committee put very well. Okay, it is not, in my opinion, it is not that our culture has, there was one wonderful time, halcyon days at some point in which such violence did not happen within marriage. I believe even in sacred texts, okay, including the Manusmriti, but sacred texts of other religions also, you find actual endorsement of marital rape. You actually have something describing what a husband should do to placate his wife for sex, and if she doesn't agree, then he can hit her on the head, and he can hit her, and he can force her. This is there in our sacred texts. Okay, this is there in traditional texts. So clearly there has been a sanction for marital rape. Our point is that in the 21st century, are you going to get rid of this or not? Or is your law now going to be like the Manusmriti was? Okay, and the other thing here is that what the Justice Verma Committee put very well, that the basis for this exemption for marital rape is based on the Victorian idea, which the British lawmakers had, that essentially a wife is the property of her husband, and that once you have given consent for marriage, you have lost control over your body, you have handed over your body for the use of your husband. If we do not hold on to such values any longer, then it is high time we got rid of this exemption in the rape law.
Shamina, what do you say here? I mean, we are in the 21st century, and this is what we are still following. So what is, so all this education that we are talking about, all this social, the awareness that we are talking about. So because the judges or the lawmakers are also a part of that same fabric that you and I are. So and if they think the way they do, then do you really think in the next 50 or 100 years also we'll be able to make a change? Or at least a dent somewhere?
I hate to put it like this, but unfortunately, are we waiting for another woman to actually go through hell like Nirbhaya had to, and then make certain amendments? Because in the 21st century, as Kavita very rightly said, I mean, are we going to at least give a woman the right to her body, or are we still I mean, not at all mentally prepared to give the right to her body, for heaven's sake. I mean, treat her, I always say this, treat woman as an individual, as a human being. She's not an object that today she's unmarried, so okay, fine, but tomorrow the day you get married, your body is now the property of your husband and he can use it the way he likes to. And like this gentleman said that we are afraid the wives are going to use it against the husband. Why at all the situations have to arise within a fabric of the family, between a marital relationship, wherein a woman has to get up and say that, I mean, my husband is abusing me. Now, whether it is physical abuse or whether it is sexual abuse, abuse is an abuse. So physical abuse is okay. I mean, then you can go and you can lodge an FIR. But if it is a sexual abuse, you cannot open your mouth because you are a woman. So are we trying to get rid of this or not? And this is for I believe the younger generation now to speak up, because everybody has tried their bit, the activists, the organizations, the women themselves. I think it's high time now the younger generation, the boys as well as the girls, need to get up and say that, come on, it is 21st century, we are breathing, and every woman in this country has the right to breathe properly with as an individual, and she has all the right to her own body.
That's true. Well, we have another viewer. This is Ashok Kumar from Gujarat. So Ashok, are you there with me? Yes, welcome to the show, and please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a question that, well, whenever we just are doing some rape cases to any girls or women, it will be, generally, it will be considered as a crime. But whenever we just doing all this process in closed doors as a marital title, it has not to be considered as any legal action being taken in the same regard. So why this difference between, if we generally doing all these rape cases, then it will be created,
then it is considered rape.
It will be considered as a crime. But within a family, within a marital title, in a closed door, if we do all these things,
yes,
no any action.
I have got the gist of what you're saying. I will get the responses of my panelists on this one. But right now, we'll have to slip into yet another break. When we come back, we'll be taking this forward. So don't go away, as today we are talking about marital rape.